What are imaginary circumstances? Now listen, I absolutely love this topic. This is a topic that I absolutely love. And here's the reason. A lot of people look at this thing and they're like, there's this unclarity for them, right? There's this thing that they don't realize that they themselves as artists and as actors, they can empower themselves to be and craft the ability to know when they've actually entered into this thing called the imaginary circumstance. Now, it's something that you can actually put effort on, but it takes understanding this question of what are imaginary circumstances? What are they? Well, first of all, it's very kind of important to understand. These are things that have they're imaginary, right? It's not real, but yet we're working with techniques in acting that bring real stimulus into the imaginary circumstance. So this thing we're entering into this imaginary world of acting, but yet at the same time we know that we're in a situation that's imaginary, but yet we're working to be able to do the hard work, to be able to find parts of ourselves that can authentically be activated. Right? So a lot of people with emotional preparation is that they very, very, very diligently work, and they work on all sorts of things, and sometimes they're just working with thoughts, sometimes they're just working with instincts, sometimes they're working with feelings, and the feelings will come and go, and sometimes they'll chase a feeling down, and the feeling doesn't stay. So they'll get a feeling in their emotional preparation, they'll have a feeling, it's there, when they're alone doing their emotional preparation, but by the time they actually get into their imaginary world, their imaginary circumstance, their feeling's not there anymore. Which is a problem, because this is now you weren't able to get yourself fully in the situation, right? And then there's this stuff that's called deep feelings. Now, if you work with deep feelings, those are things that will then turn into an emotion. So then you're working then with an emotion. So now we're really talking about the fact and the need to be able to get emotional activation. So you activate that emotion in your emotional preparation, which includes your emotional preparation includes circumstances, right? Shared circumstances of relationships, shared circumstances of the script details, shared circumstances of the scene. And that's got to be part of your construct. And when I go through emotions, first of all, I absolutely emotionally prepare, sometimes even before the videos, because I love emotional preparation. I love to be able to get myself upset about one thing, get myself upset about another, and then put that into some imaginary work. And these cartoons, there's links in the descriptions below, and they can amplify those expressions that you can learn to be able to get with your talent. Okay, so feel free, use those links. So this is important to understand what is imaginary circumstances and how this correlates. So we can actually successfully be able to get our emotional preparation, which includes our circumstances, right? To be able to get this thing activated, get this thing done. And a lot of times people forget about that component of activation. So the emotion gets activated. We go beyond thoughts, beyond instincts, beyond feelings, although there could be feelings that come and go with your emotions, and that's normal, right? And then we get past that, we get into something that's kind of a little bit more rich with deep feeling, and then hopefully with our emotional preparation, we hit an emotion. And then we go through the construct of taking that emotion, activating that emotion, giving ourselves something where it clicks. There's something that all of a sudden just wants to express itself. Maybe we want to tell the person how disgusting we think the person is for forgetting about taking their aunt or uncle to the doctor's appointment, right? Could be something just that simple, and that might be something that is a real life recollection that you remember about something that's actually in your real life. Or that could be something that's an imaginary circumstance that you could fully believe that the other person that you're working with would be capable of And that is called creative license, which I have a video on how to be able to achieve creative license in your acting. So this is absolutely key. We're looking at being able to activate. We activate our emotion, and then we have to exercise this ability to be able to have these things called acting muscles, right? Or relaxation muscles. So we activate the emotion's starting to come up in us, and then we've got to be able to simmer our emotional preparation until we can get it into our acting imaginary circumstance. So this has everything to do to understand that we're dealing with an imaginary circumstance. We understand what the components of the imaginary circumstances are because the writer's given us the circumstance. And then all of a sudden, we're able to do something to activate some kind of emotion as artists, as actors. And then our goal and our skill and our technique is the ability to be able to get that stimulus of what's about to pour out of us into our acting. There are links in that description that you could actually use to improve your acting. It can help you to improve your creativity. So there are independent activities, there are reasons at the door, there's lists of programs, there's lists of emotions, there's programs that you can do, and there's also ways that you can actually contact me for private coaching. So listen, please do yourself a favor and check that out. Right down there in the description box. Now there's another thing with this imaginary circumstance that closes the deal of when we know what are imaginary circumstances and how we can fully know that we're actually in them as actors. We get ourselves into a situation where we're with the other actors, right? And we get ourselves into the situation. We knock on the door, we enter the scene, we walk through the door into the scene, and then we get to the point where we still have every single thing going on, and our key is absolutely not in ourselves at this point. Our key at this point in the work is actually receiving the other actor. We've got to receive the other actor. Even if we're angry with them, even if we're upset about them not taking a doctor's trip or going to this or going to that situation, we have to be able to receive them. And then what happens is what we receive mixes in with every single thing that we already have alive and activated in ourselves. And now we've got some circumstance. Now we've got a circumstance. Now we have actually done what it is a very difficult thing to do, but it's not. It's simple if we got the instructions on how to be able to do it, which I've just given. See, we've now entered into understanding what is an imaginary circumstance. Now we've entered into the imaginary circumstance. Now we've arrived. Now we're actually in the imaginary circumstance. It's not when we're knocking at the door, although that's part of it. We want to be able to receive the other actor. Then we close the deal. We close the deal. Now we've got the interaction started. See, I love acting. I think that this whole thing is incredible. And, working with this and being able to work with people to help them get upset about something, and whether it be imaginary or whether it be real, and then be able to figure out ways. Each person sometimes has these little differences that they have to do within themselves. And that's what technique is. Technique is this ability for you to be able to find this unique thing within yourself that then is able to get that stimulus that you've been able to stimulate yourself, emotionally stimulate, into your acting circumstance. And then you get that into the interaction. And that's the moment where acting is interaction, which it is. Acting is the interaction. Acting is activation. It's when you can put those two things together, and then you've got circumstance. So to be able to understand what are imaginary circumstances, we had to go through this journey today together and understand how to be able to take impulses, deep feelings, and emotions, and get them into an imaginary circumstance or an imaginary world. So listen, if you would, boop the like button and, check everything out that I'm working on and see, what it is that we can do together or not, and see if you can join a live feed and look at those lists, the independent activities list, the emotions list, the reasons to the door, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So, thanks very much. Okay, so I teach people how to get upset. I have a lot of fun teaching people how to literally, purposefully upset themselves. Actually waking their own activations up so that they're emotionally activated. There's something that they can get upset about within a ballpark of emotion. But the key, the absolute key, is I don't want you to carry around that stuff in your life. That's what's called acting baggage. You want to be able to learn a technique. I have to be able to tell you that it would be a disservice for me to teach you all of these incredible techniques on how to access yourself as an artist without reminding you very nicely that you don't need your acting baggage in life. So feel free. Work on processes where you have a release time after you're doing your acting. And what this will do is it will actually amplify your work because it will give your acting muscles the break that they need in order to get the rest that they need so that your work will be even stronger. Okay? Thanks very much.